1,000, 5, 1,000, 6, 1,000, 7, 1,000, 8, 1,000, 10, 7, 79. It's 888, 595, 77, 79. And hello, South Florida. Welcome to the Monday edition of the Real Estate Show, also known as the Mondays on a Mission, where we start off the week, where we begin our series of 5 live shows. That's right. We are live here Monday through Friday, 5 days a week. 5 different ways for you to consume our radio show on the AM station, 1470, on the FM dial at 96.9, also at 95.3. You can consume it also on the apps, the free apps that you can download onto your portable device, and just tune in to WWNN Money Talk Radio 1470, and you will get it crystal clear live, better than on the radio station. You can also catch it on our website at automaticlandlord.com. That's automaticlandlord.com. Go to the top of the page where it says the Real Estate Show. If you're there live at 5, it will be a brand new show. Otherwise, you can download any one of our past shows. They're down there under the Real Estate Show notes. Each day there is a note posted with a summary and a link to that day's show. So you just click on the link and listen to the show in its entirety on demand whenever you want, all the time. And finally, you can also watch our show as well as listen to it on our Facebook page. And if you have a Facebook page, just look for The Real Estate Show all together, no spaces. Or if you don't have a Facebook page, all you have to do is go to facebook.com/The Real Estate Show. Also, no spaces, no hyphens, no nothing. Just The Real Estate Show as if it was one word. Anyway, we got a great show for you today. We got a great week ahead of for you this week. We're going to take a little bit of a different perspective. As you know, every Monday we start out the week laying out what is our mission for the week. That's why we call it our Mondays on a Mission. And we're going to talk about and take apart, unpack a certain subject for the rest of the week. This week, I want to teach sort of the principles of the wealthy when it comes to using leverage and debt. And we're going to start out tonight. In addition to our radio show, we also feature workshops, and these are live workshops. They're free workshops, and some of them are live and in person, like we had a couple weeks ago. Most of them we're still doing in the virtual arena. This will be a Zoom meeting tonight, and we're going to talk about how to turn debt into wealth. And let me know if you're interested as one of our listeners of the Real Estate Show. You're invited, in particular, and especially you're invited to come for free. All you have to do in order to come is text the word equity to 561-861-2366. That's right. On the Automatic Landlord, that's the Automatic Landlord's automatic text line. No one's going to bother you, talk to you. Just text 561-861-2366. And that will be, the response will be your invitation to our workshop tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern. So 6 p.m. on the West Coast, 9 p.m. on the East Coast. It's about a 45 minute, depending on comments and questions. And then you're going to learn one of the secrets. And we're going to talk about this, throughout the week, how there, obviously, you've heard the difference or the conversation about good debt versus bad debt. And good debt is what leverages you into a better position because of the debt. Bad debt is the debt that you keep paying on long after that item was gone. An obvious example is if you were to put a meal on a credit card and not pay it off at the end of the month, you'd be paying for months for a meal that you had a long time ago. And not only are you paying for that meal, you're paying for interest on that meal. And it's a great way for the credit card companies to make money, but it's a terrible way for you to spend money. So there are polar differences between good debt and bad debt. There is positive leverage. In other words, if I borrow at 8%, but I make 12%, I've got a 50% better return than the cost. So how much money would if I could borrow an unlimited amount at 8% and invest an unlimited amount at 12%, how much would you like to borrow? And the answer, of course, is as much as I can get. And hopefully, I know it's tougher on the radio, but I hope to see the difference there, because it is understanding that positive leverage. So when you can make more, now some people will speculate on that 12%, but when you can make more. For example, that's what the banks do, right? They pay you what for your deposits? When you deposit your money in the bank, they'll pay you at best, what, 1%, point something percent, and yet they lend it out even though on the mortgages at 3%. So they're making a positively, because that's how they set up that arbitrage, they're making at least a 2% profit. But when they pay you point something, they pay the Federal Reserve point something, and they're lending at a 3, 4, 5% when it comes to mortgages, 18, 19, 20% when it comes to credit cards. You understand why the banks have all the nice buildings in the center of town. So we're going to talk about this whole concept of using leverage to your advantage. You can build a very interesting income using leverage and real estate. You can build a legacy. You can build a retirement. You can do all sorts of things when you understand the power of leverage. And of course, if you have access to it, that's a whole other conversation. Is, well, what if I don't have access to money? Because you'll either have the money in the bank or you would borrow the money. And if you can't borrow the money because, number one, you don't have good credit, well, either you're a brand new listener to our radio show and you haven't been hearing about how we talk about the different ways to strengthen your credit, create your credit, fix your credit. And if that's something that you need to know about, then you can text the word credit to 561-861-2366. But right now we're talking about how do we use the credit and leverage and debt in order to build more equity. And just imagine if you could turn your debt into an equity building machine. Well, how do you do that? Well, there's a lot of different ways, and that's what we're going to be talking about this week. So how are you doing with that right now? Are you using debt? Are you using leverage in any way? Those people who borrowed money on real estate and have watched real estate values go up incredibly, if you've watched the equity build up in those people who own real estate right now, remember our common conversation. In reality, everybody is in real estate. Some of us own real estate. Some of us use real estate and don't own it. Well, those people that use real estate in some form or fashion, either they're paying rent on the property that they live in, they're paying rent by way of the work they do at the office where they work, where the work that they do generates the company's income, and that's where the rent gets paid. But one way or another, you either, you live on real estate, that's for sure. Very possibly you go out every day and work on someone else's real estate. That's why you want to be the person that owns the real estate, because the one who owns it gets the income, the payment, the benefits, and all of that, the good side of it. The folks that use the real estate but don't own it are the ones that make those payments, either through their labor, an exchange of their time, or just writing checks or making deposits in the bank account of the real estate owners. And so every economy is a different cycle, right? There are up cycles, there are down cycles, but the fact of the matter is, over any 10-year period, if you go back and you look, you'll see that real estate tends to rise. Real estate cycles are about every 7 years, with very few exceptions. You had the Great Depression, which still, it might have been a little bit longer cycle in the downside, but nevertheless, is real estate more valuable today, literally everywhere, than it was in the Great Depression? And the answer is yes. Look at even as recently as the Great Recession 15 years ago. Is real estate now more valuable than it was before that Great Recession? And the answer, again, is yes. So if you're looking at real estate from a very short point of view, then it can be a little bit more of a guesswork. But when you look at real estate over a 7 to 10 year time period, it really isn't guesswork. And I'm always amused by people who say that, he took a risk in real estate. But if you know that you're in real estate for the long term, then the risk is very small. As long as you understand the old adage of location, 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 desirable neighborhoods, good school districts, easy access, functional properties, and understand those things, it's almost guaranteed. There's no such thing as an absolute guarantee, but it's pretty easy. When you hear someone say, "Oh, look how lucky that landlord was. He's got that property and it's worth all the money that it's worth now." And you look back and you say, well, was that luck? It certainly wasn't an overnight success, but by sticking to the plan, using these wealth building principles that I'm talking about here, then you're going to see the opportunity all around you in the world of real estate. It's interesting, as I was also looking at some of the news headlines that exist with that are related to the real estate market. Then it's amazing because one of the I think it was Deutsche Bank that came out and said that they said that there's a ticking time bomb and there's a global warning in reaction to the amount of debt that's being generated all over the world with the stimulus and the pandemic and everything. And what you have going right now is a situation where real estate, which is doing well right now, but one of the other things that's really nice to know is that real estate is an incredible hedge. It's a well-known and proven hedge against inflation. So you heard me talk about 2 weeks ago when we were talking about all of the real estate, the stock and equity investment houses, all coming out with recommendations that real estate is positioned to do well and be worth more 1 year from now, in spite of this alert for inflation. And then when you add the fact that inflation is, when would a good time be to buy real estate? And the answer to that question is right now. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and take a quick break here. A few words from our sponsors. When we come back, I'm going to talk more about what we're going to be talking about for the rest of the week. I'm going to lay out the agenda so that you'll know that you'll want to definitely be tuned into the Real Estate Show as we talk about the wealth principles of the wealthy and how they use leverage in order to make more money. So don't touch that dial. You're listening to the Real Estate Show. My name is Eric Willner, and I will be right back. Ooh, that's loud. So my phone was blowing up during the first half of the program of our team celebrating something, and it's pretty cool. But I'll have to join in a little bit later. Coming back. And welcome back. For those of you just joining us here on The Real Estate Show, my name is Eric Willner, and I am the host here of The Real Estate Show, which is heard live Monday through Friday. That's 5 days a week. And I wanted to spend this week, especially as we've been talking about all of the sort of the news headlines, why real estate will be stronger a year from now, why in spite of the pandemic and the eviction moratoriums that there's not going to be this, this foreclosure collapse of the real estate market like a lot of the media would like you to believe. And it's going to be a real opportunity, I think, for those of you who are a little bit more disciplined and understand the power of real estate for a number of reasons. Number one, as an income generating tool. Number two, as a tool that allows you to use leverage better and more than any other investment tool out there, period, right? Where else can you finance, can you leverage your stocks $100 for dollar? No. They'll give you 25%, 50%, depending on your credit, your history, and your experience. Can you leverage gold 100%? No, same thing. And so as a result of that, you know that there is no better tool out there. Put 10% down, 5% down, even 20% down in order to use the assets that you have to be able to buy more assets, to use the leverage that you have to use assets that you can acquire for literally pennies on the dollar that can generate positive cash flow. So we're going to talk about that throughout the rest of the week. So every Monday we start out with our Mondays on a mission. Now you have a clear picture of what we're going to what we're going to cover for the rest of the week. Now on Tuesdays, we get right into it and we start talking about the actual tools that we use, the actual techniques and strategies that we use. And so you definitely want to tune into our Tuesday shows. We're going to talk about some of the software that we use, some of the strategies, when it comes to having the debt right now. And maybe you already have the debt, even unintentionally. But what you're looking to do is, how do you get out of that debt? We'll come to our workshop tonight. I'm going to show you a couple of things. What are your options if you have existing debt now? Obviously one option is to continue making the minimum payments. I'm going to tell you that's not your best option. Should you refinance? Well, maybe. Different cases require a different solution. Are you in the situation where you need a debt consolidation? And sometimes a refinance accomplishes that. Sometimes there's another way to do that as well. You've heard of different strategies and techniques out there, like the biweekly payment. Not a bad strategy, but not the best one. And I'll talk a little bit more about why the biweekly payment, while it will pay off your debt faster, it requires more of a payment. In other words, you have to pay more. In fact, what probably a lot of people don't understand is that when you make a biweekly, that means every 2 weeks. That means that every 2 weeks, and there's 52 weeks in a year. That means that there's you'll make 26 full payments instead of or 26 half payments. And that means that you'll make 13 full payments as opposed to 12. So was there magic on that? I could just take one payment a year and make one extra full payment, and not have to worry about this, keeping track of these bi-weekly payments every other week and so forth. One of the pluses to a bi-weekly payment is a lot of time people will time that with their paycheck. And so they'll pay half their mortgage payment with every pay period. And then out of getting used to the habit, it feels easier to do it that way. And yes, you will get ahead of the interest curve. You'll be advancing on the algorithms that the bank set up how they want you to pay it so that they make more money. But there's a whole conversation around the whole biweekly payment programs that are out there, and a lot of them have a cost. So if I just told you how you can easily do it, writing one extra check a year, you can do the same thing, and it costs you nothing other than the additional principal payment. Of course, you can go out there and to get a second job, find some sort of a gig. Not a bad idea. Make extra money and then be able to pay more money. That's one strategy. You can send just regular monthly, $100 a month with your monthly mortgage payment. Just remember, the best way to do that is to write. If you're sending checks still, send an extra separate payment and note it in the check memo. If you're making your payments automatically, make sure that then send your regular payment as agreed, and then send an additional payment a couple days later with some sort of a memo or a note or something that says that you are making a specifically extra principal payment. Because what I have seen happen is that if you don't make that notation, principal only, they might apply it to an escrow that they want, or some other fee that they come up with, and so on. If you don't specifically designate it as a principal payment, then you run the risk of them appropriating it for something else and allocating it to something else. Maybe you've heard of the debt snowball, and this is one of my favorite ones. Now, the debt snowball is where you start making extra payments and wipe out the smallest debt that you have. Maybe it's a small credit card payment that you have. Maybe it's a small installment loan. But the bottom line is that once you wipe that payment out, you apply what you are making a regular payment on to the next and add that to the payment of your next biggest one. And what ends up happening, and the good thing about this process is that you see quick results, right? Because you get rid of the first one, it feels good. It was a small debt, wasn't a big deal, but I got it out of the way, and I feel I can see the progress. I take that debt and apply it to the next one, and I'm able to pay that off faster than the minimum payment or the schedule payment would have allowed me. And then each time I have more and more payments to apply to the next bigger one, and you get this snowball effect of paying down my debt. Now, what if I could show you a way, and that's what we're going to talk about in tonight's workshop. What if I could transform, instead of a debt snowball, into an equity snowball? And again, if you want to get invited to that free online workshop tonight at 9 p.m., text the word equity to 561-861-2366. That's what we're having tonight at 9 p.m. Monday night. It's only going to be tonight. And it'll be, of course, space available as well. So the debt snowball is one of the techniques that people who are aggressive in trying to pay off debt, they adopt a different system, whether it be the biweekly system, the debt snowball system, or another technique that I hear out there is what's called the debt avalanche, right? The debt avalanche, it's kind of funny. Everything is a cold snow theme, but the debt avalanche is I attack the highest interest rate possible. And again, remember, I do the analogy that interest rates are kind of like the current in the river. The higher the rate, the harder you have to swim to get up the river. So you attack the highest interest rate first, get rid of that one, and then again, you start to build momentum in there. Anyway, just some of the ideas. We're going to talk more about this throughout the week. Again, if you want to attend our Equity Accelerator workshop tonight, it is the text number to text the word equity is 561-861-2366. Once again, that's 561-861-2366. Plug it right into your phone. That number never changes. It is our text hotline. Today, the word to text there is equity, and you won't be sorry if you attend it. You're going to learn a lot, and you're going to have some real insight to how the banks work and how you can work against the way the banks are working against you, which would cancel it out. And which is another thing we'll talk about this week is called interest cancellation, how you can do that. Anyway, that's it for today's show. This is Eric Willner signing off for our Monday on a Mission edition of the Real Estate Show. We'll be back again, same place, same time tomorrow. Until then, drive safe, wash those hands, and make it a great day. Bye-bye. All right, that's a wrap.